Hey everybody, Anish Majumdar here. Welcome to this very special executive briefing on how to influence a resistant CEO, even when they're impossible to read, even when they are holding the cards of your performance and your success completely hostage, whatever that is. I wanted to take some time to hopefully be of some help there. You know, I work with CEOs, I work with senior leaders every single day. And if you're dealing with anything like this, it might shock you just actually how common it is. In fact, dealing with this and learning how to deal with this successfully, I would go so far to say is a necessary gate towards getting from where you are now to where you really want to be. So I hope that this is going to be helpful. I know we have people joining in this live from all over, and it takes a second. So just really quickly, a quick check-in. I hope the ramp up to your holidays is going well. I don't know about you. My wife is usually the one who's much more organized than I am, right? So she's got a way big head start on that Christmas shopping stuff. I'm sort of the belated one. So when I'm not doing this, you better believe a portion of my day is looking at links, Amazon links, Bed Bath & Beyond links, and trying to get that done under the radar. So wherever you are with that, if you're looking out for your kids, you're taking care of that. I just want to say I see you, and the struggle is shared. So let's get into this. I know we have a limited period of time here, and I want to make sure it's as valuable as possible. How do we deal with this? An unreadable CEO who holds all the cards and none of the clarity, right? Why this matters. Do I really need to communicate that? Don't we know why this matters, right? One wrong CEO, one wrong leadership relationship that should be an ally that turns into a saboteur, and that job tanks, right? One person who you got the board, you got all these allies, your team is amazing, your ideas are brilliant, but one person who acts like a quiet bully to you, right? And you can't find any other way than to sort of absorb that poison and somehow think that performance is going to speak for itself. That's going to not just, cause misery right now. I have seen it cause decades of problems because what it does to your self-identity, what it does to your self-esteem, nothing is worth it. And the reason I wanted to take some time here away from my clients, right, to do a little bit of a free session is like, if you're dealing with this, take it from an introvert, a shy introvert. You cannot ignore this. Okay. If you signed up for this or you saw like a post of mine, or you're like, hey, you know what? I got to take some time for my lunch break or my morning, whatever, to do this. Let us agree. You have to do something about it. Okay. There is no being subservient to a bully like that, not responding or using the same old things that you've been doing your whole life, expecting a different result, and expect things not to really snowball out of control. Okay. Dealing with hard personalities is a part of being an effective leader. Okay. And when it comes to this, there is a way to solve it. So let's just, dive in here. And I'm just curious, clear your calendar for a second, grab a notepad, grab a pen. I want this to be really beneficial, right? So who is it for? Directors, VPs, right? Heads of divisions, right? Senior leaders who are consistently doing high quality work, but feel misread or ignored. Right? They're getting mixed signals from the top. One day, these are the marching orders and the things that you need to accomplish. That you go into the meeting, they're judging you based on completely different things. What the hell's going on? Why do they communicate confidence to you? Say, hey, Sunil, go do that. Yes, Mark, absolutely, I'm bought in. And then in the email chain to the team, second guess, right? What's happening here, right? Overall, if you're feeling like one person is taking up way too much space in the equation and has ultimately way too much power over your trajectory, this is a call, okay? This is a little signal song that says, hey, do something about this, okay? Don't ignore. This is your warning sign, right? And this can be an action that you take. So a couple of things we're going to cover here as quickly as possible, right? And just very honestly, if you need to go deeper with me, let's do that. But I want to at least get some of the basics communicated here. Number one, what are they actually evaluating you on? Because they are, right? Number two, why did your past attempts to fix this fail? Number three, why is it that in all likelihood, the steps you're currently taking and the good student energy you're bringing to this is most likely going to, if not looked at the right way, make this problem worse still? And finally, when in this situation, is it appropriate for you to invest more time and energy towards fixing this versus when you need to walk away, right? And as a leader, we got to be ready for that, right? Let's jump into this, right? These are all just, some of the things that I've been noticing in my conversations with leaders, right? You're trying resets, it's not working. They told you to speak up more because they think you're too quiet, right? Even though that's not your personality. And when you try to do, backfires on you, right? One thing I've noticed with high performers, right? If you've been rewarded, right, for performance, if you've been rewarded for what you can do, you have already a tendency to overfunction, right? But then to protect and get defensive when a different approach is called for. Okay. So I'm going to show you how to like break out of that pattern because you're most likely falling into one or more of these. Okay. Start here. No more. No more of your waking up on Monday, adding 5 to 10% to your like calendar of events to try to do more. Okay. No more solutions, no more data, no more updates, no more self-editing, no more adapting to the moods. Okay. All of that, okay, is the heart of the problem, which is you're treating a presence problem, right? Like a performance problem, right? They're requiring that you step forward as a certain kind of leader, that you manage that room and how you communicate in a certain way, that you protect your boundaries in a certain way. And rather than giving them that, you're throwing more darts at the board, right? They say, how about this? How about this? How about this? If you can't do this and you show me what I don't want, it shows you're not capable of adapting as a leader and attaining here. And two, you're shooting your own authority in the foot because what is this but desperation, right? It's a desperate attempt to do something, right? To just get the attention off of me, right? All of these, okay, what it actually says to your CEO is I need your approval to feel steady. I need your giving me a good A plus in order to feel like I'm an A plus in terms of what I do. And that's absolutely the worst thing you can do with CEOs. Okay. Anyone at that level, okay, they will not trust you if they feel like you are dependent on their validation. Now, they might be your boss. You might have to deliver on promises. You might have to build. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when you're in that room, is it very clear that, hey, if you disagree, you're able to communicate that? If there's an infringement, you're able to communicate that. If you don't do those things, right, then what you're saying, and especially if you go into people pleasing, which is a huge thing I work with leaders to start curtailing because it's such a like a saboteur of your progress. If you're doing that, you might think, hey, I'm going along to get along. I'm being nice. I don't need to be the broken wheel. Insert whatever excuse you want. But that is the core of it. That's the crux of when we see someone fall apart due to resistance like this. Okay. They're misreading what it is. They keep doing the wrong things. And they keep sending this signal that says, despite how good I am, I don't trust myself as a leader enough to stand with integrity. People pleasing kills you at the senior level because it sort of feels manipulative, actually, right? It feels sort of like you can't let your no's stand with your yeses. You can't let accountability and honesty. You don't dare to invite differing opinions, including ones that may not be what you want to hear. You're compromised, right? You want to keep this job. You want to please me. So I can't trust you and I never will trust you, right? And so once you start identifying this, and I want you to write this down right now, solving this will require more presence and a elimination, neutralization to as close to 100% of any additional effort. Okay. It's not performance, it's presence, right? And when you start making these changes here, what's amazing about it is you should see immediate changes in the room, in your heart and soul, and how you feel about the journey. Okay. Regardless of whether it's positive or whether it's negative, weirdly enough, when you take control of this, you're going to feel a sense of empowerment and drive. Okay. I'm going to give a couple of examples of this that hopefully will get you excited because I want you to leave here feeling like, okay, there is hope. This is a fixable problem for me. So it's the end of performing and leading and the start of leading. So it's the end of like pretending to be someone you're not, people pleasing, your state, okay, which we'll talk about. Your state is the vibe. It's the energy that you have when you enter that room. Most high performers would rather do anything to avoid that and try to keep you in will, thereby coming across like an amateur. That state becomes something that people can, instead of being destabilized by you, you start being a point of calm. You can start being someone who is readable and consistent. The CEO stops seeing you as a risk and starts seeing you as a peer. And let's not be hunky and dory and Pollyanna about this, right? That's the best case scenario. If it's a toxic CEO who is a bully and like determined to make things tough for you, it's not going to be, they start seeing you as a peer. What it is they stop with the attacks and you guys have your fiefdoms, you guys have your boundaries, you move, they move, and we collaborate when we most need to, but there's a degree of respect there, right? That's there. And at the very least, when you leave, you can do that with your head held high, with accomplishments made, with momentum, knowing that you're not going to have someone who's putting up negative nilly comments or whatever the hell, it is trying to like hold you back. That is also something that you want. If you don't do that, what happens is I've seen the most brilliant leaders be put on performance improvement plans. I've seen them get pushed out. I've seen them get verbally abused. I've seen them get badmouthed afterwards. And literally they were working overtime to try to please that person the whole time. Take great faith. If you're here, I'm going to assume already the seed of subservience hasn't really taken root in you, because there's no way a leader can have both of those, right? The meetings that you have, shorter, calmer, way more decisive. If you're spending time as a leader explaining, chasing, or defending, these are signs of low authority. And these are signs that a problem is afoot and getting worse, okay? And if you have that going, things like air cover and influence open up, right? You'll see breathing room that you didn't have before. If you're like, who the hell is this guy? How did he pop up? My name's Anish Majumdar. I've been a coach for 15 plus years. I was a longtime actor, journalist, author through all of that. And I bring that to the work that I do to help people, who are going through high stakes growth like this, instantly bypass these limitations and get to a place where they feel strong, secure as who they are, and able to deliver in the moment, right here and now, at a level that they thought they would never reach. That's what I'm really passionate about. 2,100 leaders and counting, and featured in all sorts of the, take your pick, right? Many of you have come in and actually connected with me through the work I've done at MSNBC and Business Insider, and I thank you very much for that. Okay, so 5 shifts, let's go. I'm not interested in puffery. I'm interested in seeing what you do here with this as leader to leader. Okay, number 1. Okay, write it down. Okay, fix it equals fear. Okay, another way to put that is you can't fix your way into trust. Okay, I'm willing to bet if you're anything like me, you came in here being like, okay, Anish, I need my reset script, right? I need my new communication cadence, right? I need better slides, right? I need to know how to speak up more effectively, right? But as we said, every time you try to fix this thing, right, you're throwing performance at it, right? At a presence problem, and it makes it worse. And so let's start right here. Okay, this is something you can do. It's something that you can stop right here. Okay, so fix it mode. I want you to, okay, from here on out, I want you to catch every moment that you are chasing, explaining, or defending. Okay, every time you find yourself doing that, okay, in the meeting, in the email, whatever it is, step 1 is to catch it and not do it. Okay, that's going to start making a huge difference right now. Okay, so here's what I want you to check as a leader. Okay, when you feel the impulse to say, well, you know what, if I can only explain it better, right? That's insecurity. If it's like, well, he didn't see that idea that was there, right? Oh, that's insecurity. He took my idea. He literally stole my idea. But you know what? Like, it's as long as, I get my bonus of the same, and we move it forward, it's all for one and one for all, right? I'm taking one for the team. These are all symptoms of fix it mode, okay? And I want you to just understand and feel it in your heart when this stuff strikes. What's the core driver of this? 99 times out of 100, the feeling is if I just work hard enough, they'll accept me, problems go away, right? It's like the hopefulness inside of ourselves, and there's a place for it, is now tripping you up because it's leading you into desperation, right? And it doesn't know what else to do, right? So what is the CEO looking for, right? Instead of fix it, this is what they want to see. When you enter situations they've never seen before, Are you able to hold your center? Doesn't mean you don't get riled up. Doesn't mean that you have answers to everything. Absolutely not. But can you hold your center? Can you still be yourself when the scripts and the plans and the status quo fall apart? Are you still Dilip? Are you still Sunil? Are you still Sarah? Are you still Bethany? Are you chasing approval? That needs to curb. Okay, people pleasing, agreeing without a real agreement there, saying yes, tacit silence that says yes instead of saying, I've got a question about this, I don't see it that way. That's chasing approval. And I want you to catch that, okay? Because again, it's going back to this idea, right? That says, look, you're the authority, I'm hoping to measure up, right? And probably the biggest one, okay? No. I want you to really look back over this past year, especially if this has been intensifying, and really ask yourself, how often have you been saying no? No is a complete sentence, right? No is one of the most essential parts in your toolbox. As a recovering people pleaser, right? As an actor, different vibe, right? That no, I had to learn that. And to work effectively with strong personalities, people who, listen, if I don't call them on their crap, if I don't hold them accountable, it's not happening. Not in that kind of, pressure cooker of a situation. No is essential. And I want you to look back, okay? And I want you to look back over your communications. And I want you to do a heart check right now. How often are you utilizing that? With your team, with your CEO, how often? And no, on the road to just accepting the next abuse or infringement, that's not what I mean. No as in challenging. No as in, I don't see it that way. What about X? If that's not there, that no is one of the most powerful things you can do right now, okay? Stoppage of fixing. Entrance of the word no, okay? There are things right now I'm willing to bet that you should not be doing as a leader, right? That have been put on your plate that you have not said no to. You have not refused. And that infringement causes the license for a second, causes for a third. There's only one way to stop that. It's time to start getting honest about those aspects of what you do that actually matter and be decisive and critical as a leader in seeing the other stuff we either address, we delegate, we neutralize, we ignore, but we don't take away our precious time and bandwidth to do that, right? I discovered this, in my acting days in Toronto, where the first year and a half out of theater school, I'm auditioning left and center, preparing so well. You know what I mean? Like I got the side scripts days in advance, showing up, ready to do everything that they wanted to do, and meeting disinterest, meeting boredom, meeting people who weren't even once I did an audition and they didn't even undo the lens cap of the camera. So I do the full audition. Okay, great. Oh, absolutely, Anish, we'll call you. And then as I'm leaving, that's interesting. Hard to record an audition when literally the cap is on. So the thing that changed it is that I walked into an audition room one day and I had a heart-to-heart in exactly this way. And I said to myself, Anish, you've spent a year and a half trying to fix it. You've spent a year and a half of your life, okay, trying to do better, trying to move it forward. And literally, the more I do that, the more bored people are. So how about this? How about for the first time, we go into this audition, and it was for some crappy Health Canada commercial, something like this, right? I'm going to go in, number one, I'm not getting it, right? Number one, that's not happening. So any ways I want to contort and people please to try to get it, forget about it. It's not happening. Okay. They see 100 people to every one of these. Okay. So that's not happening. You can't get motivated by that. So your choices are, you can either leave, do something else with your life, or you can go in there and how about you play? How about you apply your skills? How about you do those aspects of that make you brilliant just for the sake of doing it? Just because I want to be able to see in an unvarnished way, I like to play that game. And I went into that audition, and for the first time, I had fun, right? For the first time, I'm actually chatting with these people instead of being oh, what am I going to do? We had fun, cracking jokes, walked out of there, didn't have a second thought in it, right? Not carrying false hope or pressure or fixed energy, booked it, right? And that started this whole journey of looking at it, not from the lens of how much I want to put out, right? But what's the presence? How can I embody the energy that fosters trust? Okay. And the thing I want you guys to understand, okay, fix it, right? The reason it doesn't work isn't because your heart isn't in the right place, right? It's not because you don't want to try or you're not invested, far from it. But the problem is when you do that at the wrong time, it actually erodes trust in you. And if you don't have trust, it doesn't matter. I don't care what company you're in, what the market cap is, how brilliant you think your growth trajectory is, right? If you don't have trust, it's not happening. And a big part of the reason senior leaders will put all their faith into one ally, right? Not build these bridges, not work on it when they have a window. Boom, merger happens. Oh, there goes your ally. Here's a bunch of new people. And you don't know what to do in terms of reestablishing that trust and resetting, and it screws you up. So, this is my water here. So, just to sum up like this one here, you can't fix a presence problem with performance tools. And if we're saying, okay, fixing it doesn't work, what do they actually respond to? Okay, this is the second part. CEOs, okay, what they are trained to read, okay, is state, not content, right? It's actually not mysterious. Like, it's not like 50 things. And whoever you're dealing with right now, or if there's more than one individual, it's not mysterious, okay? They're scanning for very, very specific things, right? Number one, okay? This, your nervous system, your steadiness, and your ability to hold tension. This is like you are the new kid in school, right? And you're sort of sized up, right? You go into that playground, there's all these new people, right? What do? Do you go up to the bully and you start giving them chocolate and stuff like that? Do you start building things for people and working your way as though you have to earn it? Or do you look around, intentionally go to someone, build a relationship, whatever it is, right? You're having fun. That's what people are observing. And the bullies in the schoolyard, by the way, they're not looking really at your actions. They're looking at the body language. They're looking at how you respond to pressure. Same thing with a CEO, right? Many of you try to hide in your deck. You try to hide in your analytics. You try to hide in your processes, right? You hold that up, right? As though it's like the holy book, right? Against a situation and a person who needs your eye contact, they need your presence, and they need you moving forward, right? So the question that they're asking, right, in observing for this is, can I trust you when the crap hits the fan? Okay. And if the state is off, right, everything you say is going to be discounted, even when it's brilliant. Okay. So here's the test. Okay. And these are the things that they're really deeply looking for here. Number one, calm versus agitation, right? I worked with someone who literally like Anish, you don't have to worry about it. Like I'm over prepared. I've been in this industry. It'll move forward. You're tense. You know, you're over prepared 5 seconds before, right? Even though you've got 30 years of experience, right? So are you calm or agitated, right? Are you grounded? Is there a sense of you're not going to get shaked by the next question? You don't instantly get your dukes up, or are you scrambling, right? Are you leading the moment, right? Or are you chasing, right? If the state you're bringing is too intense, too eager, too apologetic, too guarded, right? Their nervous system goes, no, not safe, not yet. Okay. Presence is the real content. Words are secondary. The wonderful thing is, if you're dealing with people who are fundamentally amenable leaders, right? And you guys may have disagreements, but overall, you're rowing the boat towards the same place. This can change starting today. Right? And the reactions you get and the momentum you build can shift right here and right now, right? As long as you don't continue making things worse, right? Under stress, we've all experienced this, talking faster, over-explaining, hedging or justifying, right? All of which reads as, hey, I'm not sure I believe in myself, right? I don't believe in myself. I don't have confidence in myself. So I need you. I need to convince you. I need to influence you. Hear this, okay? Low-level leadership and management is about influencing, the idea of doing things to cause a reaction, to drive an outcome. If you're here, you've already graduated past that. At this level, what is required is authority and signaling. This influencing reads as patronizing, low-level, naive crap, and not the right tool to solve this problem. If your ambition is to go to the absolute heights, you've got to understand this. Okay. So Matt was the client I was thinking of here. He literally holding the company's tech infrastructure together, right? Fell for the myth of the ideas are always going to speak for themselves, paying zero attention to how he was priming his state. So what happens? Right? He goes to these meetings and literally for the next week, he's sleeping 2, 3, a good night is like 4.5 hours a night. His heart is out of whack. His state is all over the place. And the anxiety followed him home. Interesting. That state that you bring into the room, you can address that. You can manage that. You can get it into a place of calm and focus that makes that trust much easier, or you can make it harder. And if you're not looking at that at all, if you're literally going into meetings cold with nothing but your freaking ideas and your slide deck, you're screwed. Okay? And that's what was happening here. So finally, the thing that shifted it was literally realizing his daughters were starting to walk around eggshells around this guy, right? He was communicating this stress and radiating it out while playing with his daughters, while cooking dinner, all that stuff, right? And that's when he realized, oh, okay, everyone picks up on this. I may not want to look at this aspect of myself. I may feel like, hey, you know what? I'm cool where I am. But the fact is, everyone in my life is picking up on an energy that I don't want, an energy that I actually, even if I'm experiencing it, I don't want to be like pushing it forward, right? I want to do something differently. So I worked with him to help him create that safety before he went in and to bring that safety into the room, right? And all of a sudden, right, instead of being a point of anxiety, this guy started to be more of a point of calm, especially for his team members, especially under conflict, right? The key when you're in dialogue and you're moving forward is high intention, low attachment, right? So high intention, right? You are passionate, you're connected to the outcome, you've done the work to prime yourself beforehand, and you're going in there. Low attachment means I don't need it from you. I'm going to communicate what's necessary and I'll deal with the situation as it is. Fundamentally, it's your call or it's your call. It is what it is. That's high intention, low attachment. High attachment is basically, I did all this and it has to work. It has to work. I can't fail. That's employee talk. And you can't control that. Okay. So don't even try. Look at it in this way, and you're going to be able to make some real progress here. Okay. Above all, stop working harder on the wrong problems. Okay. Stop feeling like you have to perform for someone who isn't even there. Okay. Presence is the message, and influence begins when the performance ends. Okay. So these two are going to make a big difference, right? But at a certain point here, if you've got some of the basics on, like in line, we have to think about like the overall, right? What's the overall framework? Okay. Not everything is a challenge. In a non-productive relationship, you can absolutely have situations where you have good days, right? In a situation where you're like, okay, I've had a bunch of defend your job meetings, you can still have a good one every once in a while, right? But the thing is, you have no idea how to recreate those, right? The bad days come with a much greater consistency than the good, and when the good happens, you don't know how to catch that lightning in a bottle, right? And the stakes are getting higher, and the higher it gets, the more you feel like your system, which should be supporting you, is actually betraying you. Composure, that's not relegated to type A personalities. It's not relegated to people who never struggle with anxiety or stress or any of that. Okay. It's a system. You can learn it. I first learned it as a professional actor, working with much older actors on top stages in Toronto, in Montreal, on film and TV, and realizing like, look, if everybody waited around for confidence or to be ready or when they had enough presence, everyone wants a refund on their tickets. Okay. Like we need you to deliver now. And so I first learned a lot of these things, right, from master performers, right, who understood this is how you do it. This is how you get past your own limitations, your own kind of like hiccups, and consistently provide, do, and be the person who actually can walk through this, right? And there's 5 steps here, okay? And I want you to just write these down, okay? Especially if this is all like a foreign language. Come on in, okay? The faster you can look at this, the faster you can stop some of the bleeding, okay? Number 1, prime your presence, okay? So that's activating your leadership identity and showing up the right way with a state that's in a good, conducive place to your goals before you even say a word, okay? So that's the first one, right? Is priming. And you can take care of 80% of the problems with an effective priming process, right? Second is regulating under pressure, okay? This bandwidth you have before things get overwhelming. If you're not looking at this problem, the bandwidth gets lower as the years go on. If you're looking at it, you can literally increase it. So the amount of like pressure, stress, uncertainty you can take and still maintain can go radically up. Okay. This can totally change someone's perception in the leadership suite. Okay. Because when you see someone building in that way, it's one of the clearest signals this is a leader on the rise, right? Number 3, express to influence. Okay. Every word counts. Okay. Strategic silence helps you. And if you're a chatterbox, that's something that you should be looking at right now. Okay. 20 to 30% of what you do should just be literally replaced with silence in the right way, a listening, active silence, right? And that will make it more conducive because people need time to digest your ideas. They need time to, okay, what about this? They need that breath, right? And sometimes we're so eager, read anxious, to get our ideas across, we don't give them that space, right? So expressing to influence, right? Using fewer words and more meaning, and making sure, whether it's in person, on stage, or in Slack, that you're hewing to the principles that are going to support the overall. Tired of seeing people being like, Anish, why is that morning meeting not going well? And then we're looking at the email communications and every one of them is fix it. Every single one of them is fix it, right? What are we going to do? Getting all of that consistent is really key because otherwise you just, again, are just leeching out authority that you need to get the job done, okay? And you're not going to be taken seriously. Signaling executive authority, okay? I mentioned just a second ago, using silence, right? Utilizing eye contact, using pacing, right? Depending on where the room is and where these people are, right? Are you adjusting in these ways? Or are you literally like an automaton that cannot shift, cannot change, right? Your resilience and your agility are key to signaling executive authority, okay? Like those two things are absolutely essential towards actually commanding rooms. And if you're struggling with like leadership not being taken seriously, hello, lifting up the hand here, okay? This is something that we would probably want to talk about. Definitely something you want to explore in terms of like building up your abilities in that area, right? Solidifying the shift, all of this stuff, when it's working, we're not seeing the gears. We see someone who's more effective more times out of the gate. We see someone who can rock and roll with the good and the bad. And we see someone who's building unstoppable momentum every single step of the way. That's solidifying the shift. I'm seeing a lot of people, right? And when you go into, if you're lucky enough to have done the work and have opened up the windows to be stepping in a rare moment of true leadership right now, excuse me, it's really, really, really important that you understand like the days of piecemeal are over, okay? Like the days of trying to be like an extrovert when you're an introvert is not going to work anymore. Not in the world of authority and signaling. It will not. If you're still carrying like hard sell techniques in some ways, or like the engineering cadences when you are anything but now, these are the things that show us the gears. You're still a work in progress, right? We can't trust a work in progress. Right? If your ambitions are to rise up now, if you feel like you've done the work, and if you're in this live session, the vast majority of you have. Some of you are probably a bunch of lazy asses, right? Who are like taking time away from lunch or whatever and doing something that makes them feel good with no intention to actually run on any of this, in which case, happy to have been a distraction, but don't pretend that any of this is actually going to do anything for you. It's like you watched a TV show, right? Without action, there is nothing, right? Solidifying the shift is making all of this come from you. Right? Like I'm the artistic, sensitive, empathetic, Anish Majumdar who believes in people, and I can see someone's future. I can see like where they can go much better than they can, especially if they've been in the mix there. You know, I struggle with belief. I struggle with self-confidence just like anybody else. But when it comes to serving leaders, that and being a point of support and strength for them, I can do that better than anybody else. Anybody. And so once I started realizing that, right, by working on these four, right, once I started realizing that level, all of this stuff started to become more and more second nature. I started to really trust myself more, and I truly started to like enjoy the leadership journey. And I personally believe that it's meant to be enjoyed. It's not meant to be a stress bucket. It's not meant to be you watching your back. This can be something that leaves you stronger and that leaves your family stronger. And I don't just mean financially, right? So, Colin, oh my God, guys. Okay. Talking about what like how insane CEOs can be. Okay. This guy earlier this year, okay, 18 months, golden boy, okay, saving this freaking company that was deeply dysfunctional. And the more he's going, the more he realizes how dysfunctional they were. Golden boy, we need you. We can't do it without you. Sounds really good, right? Again, I want you as a leader. Read between the lines. We can't do it without you. You're the golden boy. We're not willing to support you. You're different than us. You're wonderful. Fantastic. Come in here, right? Great. Here's what happens. He reaches a place where like he's done as much as he can in terms of transforming within his purview, but he's reaching places where they need to come in. He needs allies. We need to move this to a deeper level. And they don't want to do that. They're not interested actually in change, right? So this is when the knives came out. So literally after 18 months, the 3 months after that, hell, absolute hell. I'm talking gaslighting. I'm talking making promises in the meeting. What are you talking about? I've never heard that. I'm talking about actively sabotaging his work, taking parts of his work quietly, like off his plate, giving it to a new hire to see if they can do it better. And when they have no idea what the hell they're doing and it falls apart, having to like resume with this person begrudgingly. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Emails were gobsmacking. But you see the polarity here, right? Because whether someone calls you a golden boy or whether someone is a scapegoat are two sides of the same coin. The respect didn't actually establish. It didn't take root, not in the beginning. And so if it didn't in the beginning, you're going to see that this real flip side, which is the truth, right? So what did he do, right? He could have absorbed it, left, have all this bad feeling, have all this self-confidence issues. Or he could say, hey, this person is not going to determine what I do here. This person is not going to determine my legacy, my achievements. Look out for my team, which she won't. I need to do that. I need to do that. So rather than leaving, he learned a system like he learned every one of that press system, right? He learned how to do it from priming all the way to solidifying, right? And he applied it right there. And that was his courage. He applied it in the meeting. He applied it in the email. He applied it in how he showed up. So did it magically change things with the CEO? Of course not. Of course not. But here's what it did. He built this beautiful freaking moat around him and his people. And for 3 months, while he generated activity, while we helped him, supported him in terms of moving into that period of forget about transition, of making it a smooth, powerful move to that next one, he did that while earning as a leader, while having the stability of that, while being able to provide that stability for his children. And instead of taking it, he built the moat. He established what the new rules are, established what the new boundaries are, and they're still at loggerheads like this. But the impact of what she can do is exactly limited to what it is. And it's not going to blow past that anymore. It can't, which means he is safe to exit on his terms when he needs. Now, in a situation like that, do you want to stick around and be a glutton for punishment? Absolutely not. Get the hell out of there. And that's exactly what he did. But he did it his way. And to see that courage, to see someone who literally like is dealing with so much family stuff, so many things, to see him like step forward in that way and regain that belief, not because of an external validator, but because he was willing to stand up and he was willing to look in the eyes and face this with courage in a different way. Amazing, amazing. A lifeline, right? A lifeline. I'm going to talk about something really quickly here, just to sort of wrap this, that is probably going to ruffle some feathers. I don't know of a way for you to really effectively deal with this unless you look at this. A lot of high performers deal with shame. At the heart of a lot of the good in them is also something that can easily be triggered, right? A fear of failure, right? A despondency that's there. And CEOs, some of them are like hyper trained to push that button, right? And if someone is hyper trained towards pushing it and is unethical enough to be willing to push it a lot over and over again, then it really is like, it really will screw you up, because it's just like the reaction is so fast, so strong, right? So out there that you're not even paying attention to what the situation is, right? The situation on its own, you probably could have easily solved it or navigated your way through. The situation plus this, triggering that, impossible, right? Impossible. So I want you to understand something. If you're suppressing emotions, right? If you're not looking at this, right? You are absolutely being taken advantage of. Let me repeat this. If you are someone, and I've met all types, I've met like leaders and CEOs who will tell me how emotionally intelligent they are. And the second you push them outside of their comfort zone, they crumble like a cheap suit, like children, right? They're amateurs because they don't dare look at the aspect of them that they need as leaders, which is that intuitiveness, their instinct, their spirit, their heart. So understand this. It's not about suppressing. It's not about pretending that it doesn't hurt, right? It's letting the feelings hit in the moment and still doing what is required, right? It's being woken up by your son because he had a bad dream, and you woke up and your heart is pounding, maybe not too dissimilar to this kid. But you don't start freaking out, do you? You are the point of calm. So you can say, even though you're feeling this, the important thing is to look after him. Even though you're feeling it, the important thing is to tuck him in, turn on the turtle light, and move it forward. That's what emotional mastery is, right? And if you have spent a lifetime not looking at that, you've got to. You've got to make up for some lost time, because otherwise people are going to, especially at the top level, they're going to continuously duck and dodge their own accountability, the things that they need to do for you, by pressing that button, pressing that button, pressing that button. Let me give you guys a hardcore example, okay? I want to be super real with you, okay? Sunil joins one of the big tech firms, right? First week, his boss calls him in, says, hey, you know something? I just want to be very clear, right? I have hated the Indians I've worked with. I have hated it, okay? So I just want you to understand, if you say this, I will deny it, okay? I'm going to pin your ass to the wall. Do you understand? Now get out of my office, right? That's how it started. And this guy was treating basically every other Indian that under his purview more or less that way. So what happened? Over the next couple of months, right, he watches fellow Indians get overwhelmed. Oh, overwhelmed. They lose it. They crumble. They crumble under pressure. They crumble in the room. Their team starts getting resistant. They have no idea what to do. They throw more fix-it problems their way. They get put on performance improvement plans. They get used up and thrown out. Or they get in an HR snafu and they get tossed out. Or there's a personality conflict and they use that as a hedge to basically start pushing you out and marginalizing you. Or you're stripped away of the most important parts of your job, can't perform, then you get pushed out, right? There's a million ways, right? But the thing is, he didn't do what these people did. He didn't internalize that. He didn't take the bait and say, yeah, even though I'm feeling shame right now, I have nothing to feel shameful for. Nothing. So instead of internalizing it, instead of using that as a conclusion as to why he's never going to do it. And guys, I've heard that, right? You have one guy has one bad experience 5 years ago, and now the whole industry is racist. The whole industry is sexist, right? It's not true, right? It's convenient for you to believe that. So the changes that you need to make it less likely to happen don't happen, right? And so here's what we did, right? Let the feelings hit. It's okay. But when they hit, reaffirm the boundaries. When they hit, ask a question, right? The thing that shifted it for Sunil is literally he was in another one of those meetings and his freaking CEO was pushing every one of those buttons. He's listening to it. And one question: where would you like to go from here? That moment told this guy, uh-oh, uh-oh. He's not flinching. He's not going out of this. He's not trying to fix it. He's looking me in the eyes and in a very real sense, holding me accountable, right? For my actions, for what I said. Not getting flummoxed about it, but bringing it right back to the situation. This right there is the essence of reestablishing a boundary, right? And so what happens? Delivers massive impact for the next 18 months, exits to a role paying about 3 times as much without an asshole to boot. Pretty good outcome, I would say. right? But this here, this is the moment that he'll remember for the rest of his life. The moment where every like part of himself was screaming out, you know what I mean? Like defend, run out of here, fight or flight. And he looks him in the eye, fully as a leader. Where would you like to go from here? Right? Where do you want to go? Because whatever you thought was going to happen here isn't going to happen. My leadership is not compromised, right? Your leadership is compromised. This is huge. And so, and I fully believe that the fact that he did that under duress made him able to secure his next position and basically craft it out himself with a degree of confidence and composure that would not have come any other way. Okay. Last thing here I want to just go over. I will frequently talk with people in my LinkedIn world who are quietly going through a lot of this. I know a lot of this stuff is pretty sensitive topics, and it's not really something that oftentimes, oftentimes you can't ask me a LinkedIn question, right, publicly in the same way that you can if we're speaking about this, right? If you're serious about making moves here and you're serious about getting this under control, it's really important that, again, you don't fall into the trap of either fix it or I alone can fix it, right? Get some help, right? It's worth it, right? It's worth like looking at, it's worth getting better at, it's worth just for your own peace of mind and the joy in the journey, it's worth it a million times over. You don't want freaking cardiac arrests, blood pressure issues, depression issues stealing your joy. And you definitely don't want what should be like the time to really reap the rewards of your career. You don't want that tainted by that, right? Everyone behind the scenes, right, who's moving forward consistently has someone there sharpening them, challenging them, backing them, calling them on their crap, helping them negotiate this stuff, right? And it's a place where you can take what you're experiencing right now and instantly make it active, right? We can instantly look at the specifics of your CEO, his or her behavior, and we can start figuring out ways that you can meet each and every one of those right now to start seeing some shifts, right? So if this is something that you're interested in, I know I went a couple of minutes long here and I have a session with a client coming up in a few minutes. If you are ready to start looking at this in a deeper way, you feel like, yeah, I'm not letting this window slide. I'm definitely not letting him determine or her determine what my future is here. And you need help like actually figuring out how these ideas can link into your situation. Let me just quickly offer this to you here. helloanish.com. HELLOANISH.com/let's talk. If you're interested, you should see a page like this, a couple of questions, and take a second and book it with me. What are we trying to do here? Not interested in selling, not interested in pitching. Certainly, right? Especially after what I've been teaching you guys. But what I am interested in is if you would like to take a closer look at where you are, right? If you'd like to look at exactly the kind of blowback and friction you're like dealing with at the top, and you're interested and you feel like an operating system like this can actually really help you in that, this would be a great conversation. If it makes sense for us to look at like working together or something like that, happy to actually do that. But the goal is clarity. And the goal is not to leave you in the dark. So if you're interested in that, that's the link right there, helloanish.com/let's talk. Really appreciated hopping on with you guys. I wanted to just take one last section here to just say, keep your head up, keep moving forward. Now is the time to fight, not retreat. Now is a time for new, not same old. Okay. See you guys on the next one. Great learning with you. And if you're implementing this and you're seeing like fruit, email me. Okay. Let me know. If you're seeing this and you're struggling with this, message me. Let me know. I want to see leader to leader what you're dealing with, and always happy to help if I can. See you guys.